Have you ever heard of progesterone vaginal gel? Well, most women haven't. What exactly does vaginal progesterone do for women in menopause? Does it prevent the overgrowth of the uterine lining that we've talked about in other videos? Does vaginal progesterone help reduce long-term risks like osteoporosis? Maybe most importantly, does vaginal progesterone actually help with menopause symptoms? Well, if you've had bad side effects from oral progesterone capsules like insomnia, anxiety, or even depression, vaginal progesterone might seem like a safer option. But is it? Stick with me. I'm going to walk you through what the research actually says. Let's start with the one thing vaginal progesterone might do well, and that is protect your uterus. If you're taking systemic estradiol and you still have a uterus, you're going to need something to keep that estrogen from overstimulating the uterine lining. That overstimulation can lead to something called endometrial hyperplasia, which can increase your risk for endometrial cancer. Vaginal progesterone has been used in several clinical trials to protect the endometrium. In fact, it was used in a major hormone trial called the ELITE study. That stands for the Early versus Late Intervention Trial with Estradiol. Unfortunately, in ELITE, vaginal progesterone didn't completely prevent the growth of the uterine lining. But other studies show that vaginal progesterone does reduce that growth, so the evidence is a little bit mixed. But the overall picture says that vaginal progesterone is probably effective at protecting your uterus, maybe not 100%, but pretty good. Now here's where things get a little bit more clear. You're probably aware of the long list of symptoms of menopause. You may have already had a lot of these. I'm talking about hot flashes and night sweats. Those are so-called vasomotor symptoms. Mood swings, insomnia, depression, anxiety, vaginal dryness, painful intimacy, low libido. Well, the bad news is that really none of those life-changing menopause symptoms seems to get all that much better when you use vaginal progesterone gel. I've had women tell me they do get relief from symptoms using progesterone vaginally, especially those who use a progesterone capsule like Prometrium vaginally instead of taking it orally, but that's a topic for another video. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But when we look at the scientific literature, the evidence is a little bit thin. Most clinical trials didn't really show that much benefit from vaginal progesterone when it comes to relieving menopause symptoms. But what about protecting your bones? Well, unfortunately, vaginal progesterone really does nothing to help prevent bone loss or osteoporosis. There's no evidence that vaginal progesterone helps maintain bone mineral density or reduces the risk for osteoporosis. That job falls squarely on the estrogen estradiol, with maybe a little help from testosterone as well. So if you're hoping that vaginal progesterone is going to help with your long-term bone health, I'm sorry to say it's probably not going to help you get there. There is one group of women who might benefit from vaginal progesterone, not because it treats the symptoms or because it helps strengthen your bones, but because vaginal progesterone is sometimes better tolerated. Some women are sensitive to oral progesterone, especially the breakdown products created by the liver. Metabolites like one called allopregnanolone can cause some serious side effects like severe insomnia, paralyzing anxiety, or even suicidal depression. Progesterone intolerance is a major issue, but only for a small percentage of women. Vaginal progesterone bypasses much of that liver metabolism and circumvents some of those negative reactions. So if you've had bad reactions to oral capsules, it might be worth talking to your provider about whether a vaginal progesterone is a better option for uterine protection only. So what's the bottom line about vaginal progesterone gel? Well, it does one thing right, and that is helping to protect your uterus when you're on estrogen. It's not for hot flashes. It's not to help your mood or to help you sleep. It's not for bone health. But if you need progesterone and can't tolerate oral progesterone capsules, vaginal delivery might be worth a conversation with your provider. Just keep your expectations realistic. We always come back to the messiness factor. That's a bit of a deal breaker for many women, especially since you're most likely going to be using that messy gel at least 2 or more times a week for an indefinite period of time, maybe even decades. There is a compounded option, a vaginal troche, that takes some of that messiness factor out. Something to consider. I haven't even mentioned the cost of vaginal progesterone gel. Those gels might be covered on your insurance. That's going to vary all over the place depending on your specific plan. Except vaginal forms of progesterone are often considered mainly to be used for infertility rather than menopause, so coverage issues can be a problem with infertility. These progesterone dosage forms aren't actually FDA approved for menopause. It's considered sort of off-label use. If they're not covered, you're looking somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $500 a month. So there's that. Depending on where you are in your menopause journey, I've got a couple of different ways that I can help you. If you're already taking hormones, but you're not sure if they're working or you've got a lot of questions about them, I do offer a hormone coaching call. A 30-minute Zoom call to talk through your symptoms, your concerns, your questions, your goals for your menopause. I can help you get pointed in the right direction. If you're still on the fence about HRT and you just want to make an informed decision, check out my video course. The Menopause Solution is designed to give you the clarity and the confidence you need to decide whether hormones are right for your menopause and how you might want to get started safely. You can schedule a coaching call or join the course at my website, simplehormones.com/decision. I'd love to help you figure out what's next. And if you're wondering, what is that one form of progesterone for postmenopausal women that's safe, protects the uterus, it's effective at relieving menopause symptoms like mood and sleep? Well, that's exactly what I'm covering in my next video. Join me there to find out.